Hi everyone, I have the pleasure today to be here with Patti Earley, CAFM and Fleet Fuel Operations Specialist from Florida Power and Light. She's also the immediate past president at NAFA, and she has been in fleet management for almost 40 years. Thank you so much for your time and for having us. It's always a pleasure.
Well, thank you for asking. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, I would like to start with NAFA IE. You have just held two events, right? One virtual and one face-to-face. How was the experience of doing this hybrid event for the first time?
I think it went very well. The in-person conference was just excellent, and it was really fabulous to be able to see friends and colleagues and to be able to network and catch up again. I've also heard some really great feedback from the virtual conference. Some of the sessions from the in-person conference were recorded, so the virtual attendees could get the benefit of the keynote speakers and also of a lot of the content. And then there were also new sessions and topics thrown in, so people that went to the in-person conference could still go to the virtual conference and get some new material.
Yeah, for us, it was amazing to bring once again some content to Brazil. We put Portuguese subtitle, and thank you for that. Everyone from NAFA is always very kind to us. And I know this is a difficult question to answer because, NAFA had a lot of sessions that cover so many topics. But if you could summarize the event, what are the most important insights that you got for fleet management?
Well, there were so many areas covered. I think some of my favorite sessions had to do with electric vehicles, data privacy and security. Vehicle safety, of course, is always very big. Sustainability, supply chain issues are a big thing right now. And then we had, speakers on leadership. And I think really aside from the great educational content, one of the big insights I had was how valuable it really is to have that face-to-face interaction with other fleet managers and with our vendors. It was really great to see people in person again.
Yeah. About the event, do you expect to keep hybrid for next year, or do you think we are going back to just face-to-face events?
So, of course, we will have the face-to-face event, but going forward, I think we're always going to keep a virtual component to the conference. We have a number of members who aren't able to travel to in-person events, so it's really vital that we provide them the opportunity to access the educational content that we provide at IE.
Yeah, that's good. I think we learned a lot last year, right? And here in Parar, in Brazil, we hope next year to be able to do this combination event as well, face-to-face and virtual event for all these reasons that you told us. And talking about the COVID situation, last year in our conference, you and Pedro talked about this topic, about how it impacted all aspects of operations. And even simple things like cleaning the car need to be changed, right? And my question is, does the pandemic still impact your operation even now? Because I believe in some aspects, things change forever, right?
Yes. I do think there are aspects of operations that are going to change permanently. As you mentioned, the cleaning and sanitizing of vehicles. I think one big change may be that with more people working from home and a lot of companies now doing even internal virtual meetings, that fleets are going to see a reduction in travel. So for some fleets, that may mean, reduction in vehicles. For some organizations, it's, as I said, is going to impact the number of vehicles, miles traveled. There are also fleets that added vehicles due to COVID, and they may have increased their operations, or they may not have people riding together now. So I think a lot of what we're going to see going on post-COVID is people really trying to make sure that they have the right number of vehicles in their fleet.
Yeah, because for the pandemic, data is more important than ever, right?
Yes.
We had a session yesterday about connected fleet, and I know you have a session in NAFA about connected strategy. And could you give us some insights about how all this will impact the fleet managers?
Fleet managers have so much vehicle data available to them today, it can really be a little overwhelming. It's wonderful because it can help you locate your vehicles, can help you with dispatching and routing, can track your vehicle usage, track idle time. And I think one very important aspect is driver behavior. You can see if you have unsafe drivers behind the wheel and take action before they become an issue. I think the big challenge is going to be just the volume of data available and how you view it so you make the best decisions for your fleet.
How to manage this data.
Exactly.
Yeah. You said about sustainability, and I'm living in the UK now, and because of the pandemic, Brexit, and some other reasons, we have been struggling with lack of fuel. Drivers have been rushing to gas stations to fill up. And I'm just thinking how this issue is reflected in fleet management. Now more than ever, fleet managers face pressure to reduce fuel use. There's a lot of debate about sustainability in the US, more than in Brazil, I think. And your company is a very green company, right? Could you give us some examples of how Brazilian fleet managers could start to apply sustainability in their fleets?
So I think there's a lot of focus right now on electric vehicles, putting in the infrastructure. We have a lot of electric vehicles. We have charging canopies, so we're using solar power to charge those. But there are really a number of other things that fleet can do to meet their sustainability goals. We use a lot of biodiesel. Biodiesel is great because you don't have to do any modifications to your vehicles. You can use the existing infrastructure. I know there are a number of fleets that use CNG and propane, but really, you don't have to make big money investments to be able to be sustainable. There are some real simple things you can do, things like idle reduction or reducing your vehicle miles traveled. So there are really good sustainability solutions for every fleet. And NAFA does have a module on fleet sustainability that kind of takes in all of these other solutions. So if your folks are interested in that, we would be more than happy to share that with you.
Oh, thank you. So many important topics to talk about. We could stand here all day long listening to your experience with fleet management, because it doesn't really matter what country we are in, the basis of fleet operations are all the same. So this exchange between PARAR and NAFA is really amazing. We have learned a lot from you over the last years. And we hope this partnership grows, and I hope we can see each other again and maybe have you at our face-to-face event in Brazil next year. And talking about that, how were your experiences at our events in the past?
I think you have a fabulous event. I was really very impressed with the facility and the educational content you provided. You had some fantastic speakers. I really think it was very well done.
Patti, you are so kind. Thank you very much for taking the time. It's always very nice to have NAFA as a partner. Thank you again, and congrats for all the work you have been doing over the years. It's fabulous.
Well, thank you again for asking me to join you. I really appreciate that. And we at NAFA really value the partnership that we have with PARAR. We learn a lot from each other, and I really look forward to be able to see you again in person.
Thank you. Cheers. Have a good day, Patti.
You too. Thank you.